Wrestling Podcast. And his name is John Cena.
Cool.
For all of the times when a dancer has to push themselves off the ground.
Yeah. Normally someone else lifts me, so this is kind of different.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, right. Huh. So, hey, Ray.
Hey, what?
You know what? Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
I don't know, but I do know that it's Friday, February 24th, 2017, and you're listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Ray. We're a few wrestling fans who like to conversate and debate about our fascination and or strong feelings towards professional wrestling. I always think about Kyle when I say that. We started this podcast at our former place of business, which gives us the space to shoot on all the things in our favorite pastimes without the confused looks we often got from the rest of the office.
This podcast is about giving you consistent bite-sized commentary on the world of professional wrestling, focusing primarily on WWE's ever-expanding show lineup, though we occasionally touch on our local indie scene right here in Seattle, Washington.
Every week we'll either recap the WWE's weekly shows, network specials, pay-per-views, all the things, or we'll hold a roundtable discussion on a particular topic. This week we get to interview the amazing Seattle-based wrestler. Let's welcome back our guest, former 3-2-1 Battle Champion, tag team member of the Free Radicals, the Muscle Confucius. Give it up for Mr. Fitness.
Boo!
Yeah.
I'll take it. Thank you so much for having me back again.
Yay!
It's great to be back.
So I'm always so conflicted because I love Mr. Fitness as a character and a wrestler, and like I own 2 Mr. Fitness t-shirts, but I can never wear them because I sit in the babyface section and I'm supposed to hate you. So how dare you for making me feel conflicted?
Yep.
So should I just start making bootleg River Strife t-shirts then?
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
But all proceeds go to me? Because I can do that. I'm willing to do that.
That is the most heel thing I think you could do, so you should totally do it.
All right.
All right. So first off, I mean, like we're here and we're going to learn a lot about like who you are, your wrestling background and whatnot. But I think the big thing that's really, really exciting right now in this moment is that you were most recently on WWE Raw.
I was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, which was incredible. And I remember because we're on the West Coast, so it airs behind. It's not particularly live. But I remember seeing in my Facebook feed a number of people suddenly like, hey, Mr. Fitness is on TV. What? And then like we're all trying to like bootleg suddenly like Raw so that we can watch it live and see this craziness, which is awesome because then the next night is SmackDown in Seattle. And we're walking around with like 3-2-1 people, and they're like, "Hey, do you guys see Mr. Fitness? Do you guys see Mr. Fitness?" It was awesome. So congratulations, dude! First and foremost.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was I'm still kind of over the moon about it. It was so bizarre and surreal and incredible, but also like so insanely normal backstage, and just watching these people just producing a show and bitching about travel and I was watching during the PG era and listening to them swear. Everyone swears so much backstage. It's so bizarre.
So how did this all happen?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
So you just end up showing up on Raw. Like what's the step A to step B to step C process there?
I got my wrestling participant's license renewed in the state of Washington this year in order to work a show last month at Defy Pro Wrestling at Washington Hall,
which was awesome.
Yeah, and that was the first like legit licensed show in Seattle in a number of years. Mm-hmm. Outside of WWE, of course. So I let my licensing lapse, and it was a great excuse to get all that stuff squared away again. And just looking at my options, I was looking at getting licenses that have reciprocity with Washington State. So getting my Oregon and my California, my Idaho, and all that stuff squared away, just so that I have options to work this year. If I already paid for the blood test and the physical, I may as well maximize it.
Makes sense.
But WWE has an application process for extra work, for extra talent, and they can there's no limit to what they could use, because they have the Candy Ravers on a couple of years ago, and before that there was for those people that are listening to the podcast that don't understand, it's it's a wrestling show, but they also need people to pretend to be security guards. John Morrison needed paparazzi every week. Occasionally you need 150 fake John Cenas to line the entrance ramp. And they don't pay for travel for all these people to be on contract. They hire in local people that they don't have to handle transportation for to be these extras. So I applied. I sent them some pictures of myself, like promo shots, and then I sent them my work history in wrestling. And then it's a bunch of medical. It's 3/4 medical stuff, honestly, and most of that is concussion history. So they don't want to have any
lawsuits,
any risk of furthering or exacerbating any kind of medical issues with anybody.
Yeah.
So I sent them all my info. I shot it off. I set up a little profile on their like corporate dashboard. And a few weeks later, I got a message from one of their talent relations guys who also is a referee, and invited me to come and work Portland and come and work Seattle, because those were the markets that I applied for, and sent me a whole a list about what time to get there. Don't show up. It's a very specific list. It's idiot proof. Don't show up more than 20 minutes early. Show up in a suit, but bring a black shirt and black pants in case you need to be rented security or whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so they laid it all out really, really easily, and I let myself in and behaved myself and waited patiently, and I wasn't behind. I didn't make a fool of myself, and from there it's just a matter of what they want to do with you. And I was just fortunate that day that they wanted to book extras in a match, and I was very fortunate for that, actually.
That's awesome. So okay, so you get told, hey, we are gonna do a 4-on-1 with Braun Strowman. And it's 4 local guys. How is that match worked out? How do you guys do you just you get there and it's do you have only a little bit of time to figure out how the match is going to be handled? Like, how does that process look like?
So we got there at noon, and we were just told to go wait in the room. And repeatedly throughout the day, you're told to just go to catering and get a bite to eat. That's basically a polite way of saying, get out of our way. We'll come and grab you when we need you. It means that we ended up eating like 7 meals each day, because they just keep sending you to catering, and we don't want to be rude. We don't want to be disrespectful. They told us to go eat, so I guess we'll have to go fix a plate, But but basically, I got there at noon. At I think 2:00, one of the producers came and grabbed us and brought us to the media trailer where the road agents were, which are all mainly they're old veteran wrestlers that don't wrestle anymore, but they can still, they're like a vet assistants for the wrestlers to kind of lay out the actual physical part of their match.
Okay.
And Arn Anderson was our agent, and he came and talked to the extras, and he said, how many are you? 6 of you? Okay, well, I'm going to need 4 guys. I'm going to take the 4 smallest guys. No offense, nothing personal, but I'm trying to make my guy look bigger. Mm-hmm. And the moment he said, we want the 4 smallest guys, there's no question as to why. Of course he wants to make his guy look huge. He wants to he's trying to build a monster, so you need cannon fodder to build that monster. That was at like 2:00, and I think we had from like 2:30 until 2:45 in the ring to just map out. They wanted to make sure that we could keep the hard camera angle in our head, so we don't get hit and then get confused and start facing backwards or the wrong direction or whatever.
Makes sense.
They need to make sure that our blocking and our marks are where they need to be, and that we're behaving. What the agent's looking for is that we're all behaving organically when we're not actually the focus, right? So when Braun is punching someone else, he wants to know what I'm doing. He's paying attention to all the inactive people at the time to make sure everything is super realistic and organic. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, we only had about 15 minutes to plan out to actually lay out the whole match.
Wow.
Which was half of how long our match was, to be honest. We only needed 3 minutes. It was a 3-minute match, so it wasn't the most involved, and I don't need a whole lot of direction to get my ass kicked either. So.
So speaking of your ass, this is a great segue. You sort of had the opportunity to be the one guy who's wearing his own gimmick on his own gear on TV.
Yeah.
So you got the Mr. Fitness on your briefs, and then you actually had the Mr. Fitness T-shirt.
Yeah. So I was fortunate in that the trunks that have my name on them, that's the gear I brought with me. I didn't bring a million different sets of gear with me. That's what I got. And actually, the other guys that were in that match with me had their gear, but they didn't have. They had more designs on their gear. They didn't have their name written on it. So I guess maybe I just made the right grab out of my trunk for that. But I was actually I had gotten myself ready, show ready, like I normally am at 321 or wherever, where I just had my shirt off and I was oiling up and getting water in my hair and all that stuff. And Arn came over to me and asked me if I had a shirt that I could wear. So, of course, I said, yes, sir. Of course I do, sir. And then frantically went back to the extras room to hoping that I had a gimmick shirt in my bag. Otherwise, I would have been wearing a plain black T-shirt,
right? Which
would have been pretty ignoble, pretty much a bummer for me. Or they would have stuck me in a Bailey shirt, or they would have put me in a Kofi shirt or something out of the big free bin right by Gorilla. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's because I have a tattoo on my stomach that just says kayfabe. And I have a feeling that Arn Anderson would not have wanted to put that word on Vince McMahon's TV.
No, because he would have gotten the shit for that, not you.
Right, but then I never would have come back.
Right.
If they had seen that, they would never have had me do anything again. So
it
was super fortunate that I had a gimmick shirt in my bag that I just keep it in my fanny packs for. Just for any need, for entrances basically, because I like to have stuff to take off. But yeah, it was super fortunate, and that it was my own gimmick shirt, and it was nice. I sold a few. I sold a few at the last 321 Battle show, so it was nice. Now that they're world famous.
They are world famous. They've been seen internationally.
Yes, universe wide.
Yes, the WWE universe. So you were on Talking Smack the next night.
Yeah, I was. That was in Seattle at the Key Arena. I didn't find out about that until halfway through SmackDown or a little bit later. The same talent relations guy came over to us, and it was six. There was 6 males and 1 female that were the extras called in for this market. And he came up, and the day before it had been, we need the 4 smallest guys, and then this day they came up and they said we need 2 guys with short hair. So. And there was only 2 of us that had short hair. So we were the pick, and it was myself and a gentleman named Nicholas Radford, or Nick Catford. He wrestles for DOA Pro Wrestling down in Portland and ECCW. Mm-hmm. He's one of Buddy Wayne's students. He also wrestled at the DeFi show. He's a killer talent. He's awesome and a super, super nice guy. With a nice crisp short haircut, which got him a little bit more work on Tuesday as well. Nice. We both had they had to go find us long sleeve polos though, because they didn't want recognizable tattoos on the forearms. So they just ran down to the Target or something like that and got us some polo shirts, and then we had some little fake headset microphones because we were production assistants that were just standing in the background like interns on Talking Smack. And when Nikki Bella was doing her interview and Natalya Neidhart came and interrupted her and then assaulted her, there was no security available because it's a very civilized interview show, right? So there was these 2 poor little short-haired interns to break up the fight. And yeah, that was my job on Tuesday.
Yep. So I want to ask you, like, going back to Raw, had you had any, prior experience, like, really being in a ring as far as, like, in the, in a WWE ring while TV is on, like, in front of that big of a crowd? Was that your first experience in doing that? Had you had any dark match experience prior to this?
No, I hadn't before. I've sent off my info to do extra work in the past, and I've gone down, but then there's just been no work that day. So, and that's also a risk. Like that's also a possibility, and not everyone that came down to these shows a couple of weeks ago got work either. So, I was super. It was leaps and bounds beyond anything I'd done in the past, and it was also worlds beyond what I expected that day. Because I'd been watching the WWE, I've been catching up a little bit for between when I got the callback and when I actually went in, and I was actually I was telling my girlfriend, like, oh, they're using a lot of security guards on, like, the Asuka segment and the Seth Rollins segments. There's lots of security guard pull aparts happening, babe. Like, I got a good feeling about this. But I hadn't even considered the fact that I would be wrestling a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring your gear, because when you go to a wrestling show, you always bring your gear.
Yeah,
right?
I've noticed that.
And they offer you tryout. They offer sometimes they'll offer the local talent tryout matches, which is just you go into the ring. It's an empty arena, except it's not completely empty because most of the roster is there watching, or not really paying that much attention because they see this stuff every day. They're bringing in local talent from all over the country everywhere they go, so they're seeing these little guys like me come through daily. I wouldn't have expected to make, like, a big impact on anyone. I just wanted a chance to go out and go roll in their ring. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's a million miles beyond what I thought I was going to get out of it, and I'm so thankful for it.
All right.
But definitely a bunch of firsts.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, we're all proud of you, man.
Yeah,
like, Seattle,
sure.
Just the reaction that, like, everyone had when they saw you was just insane. And, congrats to you.
Yeah,
thank you.
So now let's get to, like, the interview, more about kind of your long-term history of wrestling and not just necessarily the last couple weeks. So how long have you been wrestling for?
Well, I first started training in 2002, and I trained with a guy named Dirty Dave Murphy, and we were training down in Tukwila, and he was wrestling out on the peninsula and a little bit down in Portland as well. And he was only, a couple years ahead of me in business, but there was a show coming through Seattle where they were just booking people in steel cage matches. It was like a warehouse party, and I wanted to work it, so I brought, asked to get enough training to do the match, and it just kind of kept rolling from there. But with that being said, I wouldn't ever say that I've had 13 years of experience. I would condense that into, I would say, like 5 years of any sort of consistent performance and training.
Okay.
Yeah, just spread out.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had a buddy of yours, Eddie Van Glam, on the show, and he's shared some stories about his time.
My best friend Eddie Van Glam.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, because I heard about, like, the many different iterations of characters that he had. I would love to hear, like, what kind of characters you had, over these, the spread of all these years.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I've been wrestling as Mr. Fitness since my first match.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I've also done, like, other secondary characters here and there as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's see. From the beginning, there is a wrestler. He's kind of semi-retired now, but he goes by Ronald McFondle.
Yes.
He used to have a tag team partner called Cirrhosis the Clown. And that was me in like a horseshoe wig. With, I had like rainbow plaid overalls and one boxing glove. And we basically just would get confused and eat pills and drink fake liquor in the ring and then fight each other because we got sidetracked and we got all wasted, right? So that was one. I think I did that character just a couple times, but it was one of the first like new characters I like invented. So it's still near and dear to my heart, and it's available for bookings if anyone wants to book Cirrhosis the Clown. Let's see. So Mr. Fitness is sort of like the antithesis of what I was in high school. I was a bit of a bat caver in high school. So my thought was I want my wrestling character to be the opposite of who I really was. But I had the opportunity to kind of build up. I did this great like high school goth boy gimmick, and he was called. His name was Joshua Despair.
Oh my God, I've heard about this.
And the concept was he was a 5th-year senior in high school. He didn't get his high school diploma because he failed PE. So with that, those are the conditions, right? So basically every match he was in was a retirement match. All he had to do was win the match, and he could quit wrestling. And I had the like the big Hot Topic baggy bondage pants.
Yep.
And I had a lunchbox, and I did fishnets on my arms and stuff like that. And I think I had like a Wednesday Addams wig or something like that. But I did that one for like a couple years. I had like there was a point when my friends and I were wrestling in SSP where our roster was so slim, we pretty much all had like masked enhancement talent characters that we would like. You go out and win a match as yourself, and then go put on a mask and then lose, right? Yeah. So I had one that was it was called Cinco del Ocho. And he was the fifth. Yes. He was the fifth of 8 children in a wrestling family.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but by the third son, they just kind of run out of ideas, so they just started going with we're going with numbers instead of names. That's there have been a couple others I just do like for a one-off or just to make someone else's character make sense. But those are the real ones that really come to mind. Oh, and I have a waiter gimmick named Charlie. And I come out in a mustache and an apron, and I take people's drink orders instead of wrestling. That was really fun.
That was at a
more recent one.
Yeah,
that's a more recent one that I've been doing, and that one's a ton of fun.
That was so funny. I remember that. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so great. I love wrestling. This is amazing. All right. So, what made you want to be a wrestler?
Oh gosh. Well, I think it's a great avenue for me to perform. It just seemed like it was the right avenue for me. I loved watching it. I loved watching the reactions. I loved watching that tension. I love seeing the wrestlers sell the emotions and sell the story. I'm not musically inclined. I'm not a visual artist, but I have that creative. I have that backlog of creative ideas I need to get out, right? And it's just the perfect avenue for me. And it's the perfect mix of the athletic, physical aspects and the theatrical, dramatic acting aspects. Yep. It's almost perfectly down the middle for me. And I don't know, it's the perfect form of entertainment as far as I'm concerned.
It is. I agree.
Yeah. It's the most perfect way to tell a story in the world. It's older than spoken language.
I 100% agree. Fact. Cat facts. So when did you like you mentioned you love watching wrestling? When did you first start watching wrestling?
I remember watching wrestling in the early, like 1983, 1984, like my really, really early memories. I can remember seeing like Saturday night's main event or whatever was on in the early mid 80s, probably not main event by then. But I remember seeing Steamboat. I remember seeing Kurt Hennig. I remember seeing Bobby Heenan. That's all those are like old childhood memories because my grandparents were big wrestling fans and still are. I fell out of touch with wrestling probably around 10 or 11. When I replaced it with girls.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I remember I wanted to get back into it around when I turned 21 because a lot of my friends were still going to watch Monday Night Raw at Shorty's, which is this cool little bar down in Belltown neighborhood here in Seattle.
Yeah.
And when I turned 21, I realized, I can start going to the bar and watching Monday Night Raw if they still do that, which they still did, and they still do to this day.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And within a year of that, because I remember that warehouse show that I did with my friends was just a few months before WrestleMania 19, which was in Seattle. So from then on, I've been a fan ever since.
That's awesome.
Like full-time on the clock fan ever since then.
Nice. All-time favorite wrestler?
Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is a damn good pick.
And with the quickness, no hesitation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, everything I love about wrestling, my two favorites are Fit Finlay and Mr. Perfect, and I stole half of my gimmick from each of them.
That's awesome. So going into more of you as a wrestler, how would you describe your wrestling style?
For the last year since I turned heel, my wrestling style has slowed down a lot in terms of the pacing of the match. I don't really do a lot of wrestling moves anymore. I'm realizing I'm phasing out my move set outside of maybe 3 or 4 different things because I'm wrestling as a heel, and the heels that I sort of draw inspiration from and look up to are, like I said, Finlay, Kurt Hennig.
Yeah.
I'm watching since I started tag teaming a lot more. I've been watching a lot of Midnight Express, so much Midnight, and those guys don't have to do a lot to get a reaction, to get a response. So my wrestling style has grown into paying attention to the audience and adapting in real time as we go. And lots of dirty, underhanded cheating moves whenever the ref isn't looking. I'm playing
your
real
protein powder, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I've got the protein powder. I've got my manager. I've got my tag team partner. I've got all the advantages in the world.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I'm utilizing everything. All the tools in my kit that I've got.
Yeah. But
definitely, I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from the mid to late '80s. Memphis and Smoky Mountain era, which I know it's a place and a time, but it's also a style of wrestling. Yeah. It's a language of wrestling, really. So when older guys talk about wrestling instead of wrestling, they're actually talking about Memphis wrestling, which is that specific pace, that specific kind of story structure.
Yeah.
And that specific kind of physique of real big dudes that maybe have abs, but it's over that gut,
Yeah. Oh my God. So you're currently in a tag team with Jimmy Flame, who is awesome.
I love him. Love him so much.
Way better than you.
Stop it.
So when you're working a match with someone, you're talking about drawing all this inspiration from other wrestlers and other heels. But when you're working with someone, what are sort of the key things that make a successful pairing?
Just in my personal experience, if you have the same taste, if you have the same likes and dislikes for Jimmy and I, we like the same wrestling and we dislike a lot of the same wrestling too. So we already have that common ground that we can build off of. And even if we maybe don't understand what the other one is going for from a storytelling standpoint or a promo standpoint, maybe when we're doing interviews or doing written word stuff, I have that trust in him because I know that he likes the good stuff. Right. So just like with any relationship, I think having the common ground and having trust.
Yeah.
Because what we have is really no different from any other relationship in the world. We just do something different with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question that I'm sure Brittany wants to ask, and really everybody wants to know.
Yes.
Talk to us about your training regimen.
Yes.
Okay. So my training regimen it's pretty simple. I usually start my workout with a little bit of cardio. I run 1 mile.
Awesome.
I'll run it at like a pretty brisk clip. I usually get it done in about like 7 or 7.5 minutes.
Damn.
I get my mile out of the way because I hate running. But
Yes.
I figure if I hate running, then I should do it often, right?
Yeah.
Early and often. But it never gets any better. So
Nope.
I do my mile. I move over to a little bit of like body weight exercises and free weights. I like doing burpees and Hindu squats, and sometimes I'll do burpees with dumbbells in hand. So I'll do some resistance burpees, but then I'll mix in like an overhead press at the end of each rep. Or I'll do, when I go down into the push-up of the burpee, then I'll come back up and do like a planked row with each dumbbell before I come up and press it up.
Damn, that's awesome.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's basically a burpee that I do that covers all your major powerlifting motions. So it's a burpee that hits legs, back, chest, and arms all within 1 rep. So I'll do like 10 of those. I'll do some core work. And then I'll move downstairs to more resistance training, and then I'll pick like 1 upper body muscle group. I'll pick 1 leg muscle, and then I'll pick a third. So I'll do chest and then quads, but then I'll also do maybe traps and forearms as like my accessory muscle, right?
Yeah.
And then I just rotate through them. So I've got upper body broken up into 3 different regions. Legs are broken up into 4, and then I don't really repeat the same workout more than like every like month and a half.
Nice. Keeps it fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about like recording a like a Mr. Fitness plan and then selling it at the merch table?
I have, but only if I can put it on like really crappy VHS tape with the damage tracking across the bottom. Yeah, like I would love to. And actually, Jimmy and I have talked about working something out like that in the near future as well. So we might do a co-op.
Oh my god,
that would be dope. Oh my god,
so good. just it would fly off the table.
Yeah,
so good. Oh man, Ray, you want to
anytime now, we'll get it out there.
So, oh man, like now, these, even though it's been only, altogether really 5 years, but like over the span, is this what is this what you expected it would be like, coming from 2002 to now, is it at all what you expected?
I maybe am lucky that I didn't go in with big lofty expectations, but absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have been surprised if I was just still rolling around in a bar like I was 12 years ago with a few of my friends and like 30 people standing around watching. I wouldn't have been surprised. I wouldn't have been disappointed with that. But where we're going now, I am beside myself. Absolutely beside myself. Yeah, I had no idea, and I have no idea where we're gonna go from here. But I'll be there for it, most definitely.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, like wrestling in Seattle overall, like 321, Defy, everything else, it's like it's blowing up right now. What are your personal long-term goals for wrestling?
My next most immediate goal is just for 2017 to break even with wrestling. So just looking at my transportation budget, looking at gear and merchandise expenditures, all I really want is to break even this year. I've already got good work already in January. March and April are looking really good. This month is a little bit light, but that's okay because it's a short month. But I'm just I'm running it more like a business, like an owner operated business, and looking at what I'm spending versus what I'm bringing in, and just trying to keep that balance. So learning a little bit more as almost as an entrepreneur is my next big goal.
I like it.
Yeah.
So knowing you for even just the short amount of time that I've known you, you've always been such a really positive person. And that's always been, it's like seriously, like anytime I've kind of run into you, it's always been like an awesome, like you just radiate with this kind of positivity, and it's awesome. I'm gonna ask you a very negative question. What could be better about wrestling? Like, what is kind of maybe a gripe point that sometimes you may have with overall with wrestling?
Cheering heels. That's not really as much of an issue, in the shows that I'm working, but it seems like for the most part, it's becoming stylish to dig the bad boy.
Yeah.
And I really wish if you appreciated the bad guys, you would boo them like they're supposed to be booed.
Yeah.
That's my main gripe. I just want to see more of that.
It's a lot like Kevin Owens this last week on Raw, when everybody loves, what him and Jericho are doing, and then suddenly Kevin Owens becomes the biggest fucking asshole ever.
But did he become that, or was he always that?
He just reminded you.
He reminded
and
you.
he just suffered the fools cheering him.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of he pulls you in, and as soon as you feel like you're safe and everything, he just punches you in the fucking face.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway.
It's lovely. But that's effective healing.
Mm-hmm.
That's very effective.
What kind of wrestlers do you prefer to work with?
Oh, I like all different kinds. As long as they have like a good, as long as they can sell good reaction and they can work and they can communicate, and I can follow their body language, then I'll be able to put a good message through, or a good story. But I like working with high flyers. I love like working as a base for more like aerial based wrestlers. I love being the guy that's on the bottom. But I've got my short list for 2017 of people that I'd like to work with, and they're all across the board. They're all across the spectrum.
That's awesome.
And there are some bad guys on there too. So
What?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we ask this of every wrestler that we interview, and it's always interesting. It's always really awesome to hear this from the people that come on the show. What advice would you give to anybody that's starting out in wrestling?
I would say two things. Don't underestimate the athletic aspect if you think it's just theater, because you'll get disappointed by that. Don't think it's all going to be athletic and that you don't have to act like it's theatrical, because it's that too. All right. So the one thing is just respect that balance and that symmetry of exertion versus performance. And the other thing I'd say is don't wear green, because that's my thing.
Yeah. I support that.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
So good.
So
Oh,
good.
thank you guys so much for having me.
That's gonna wrap it up for this week. If you like the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at OnTheHeelsWP and on Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP. You can find our podcast through lots of different services, including iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Subscribe to the podcast, leave some comments, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and of course, please tell your wrestling buddies about the podcast. Organic reach, as Ray likes to say, Mr. Marketing. Message us, tweet us, tell us random wrestling stuff.
Yep. Again, Fitness, it was great having you on. We hope to have you again.
Fantastic.
It was awesome stuff.
One of my favorites.
Thank you so much.
One of my favorites. Don't tell the other wrestlers, but I'm going to say this is one of my favorites.
Yep.
I'm telling everybody that I'm the best.
You're an asshole. I hate you.
And that's why he's a heel.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, we'll ask ourselves the eternal question, what does Strowman smell like?
Ooh, I know this one. He smells like baby powder. It's amazing.
You're not supposed to answer it.
You're supposed to have a bunch of answers.
But I was there and I know the answer.
It's not
You're
really
a dick.
Sorry.
fine.
the heat.